Hi, everybody. This is Rebecca Case, licensed clinical social worker and EMDR consultant and trainer with a tip video. This is my EMDR elevator speech. So when I'm explaining EMDR to clients, this is how I do it. So take what is helpful from my spiel. So EMDR stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's a super long name, so we just call it EMDR. EMDR was discovered by a psychologist. Her name is Francine Shapiro in the late 80s. And she was walking through the park one day, thinking about something that was upsetting and bothering her. And as she's walking through the park, her eyes start going back and forth. She's looking at trees, watching squirrels. I'm not sure which, but she all of a sudden noticed that after her eyes were going back and forth when she was thinking about this upsetting thing, that she felt a lot better. Like the most observant person ever, right? So she was a psychologist, so she had all these therapist friends. So she was like, come here, friend, think about something that bothers you and follow my fingers. And her friends were saying like, yeah, like that seems to make a difference. I feel a little better about that. So she had to engage in some like deep research and study because of course, this idea of think about something that bothers you and follow my fingers sounds absolutely ludicrous, doesn't it? So I've done a lot of research on EMDR, and today it is an evidence-based practice, meaning it is a first-line treatment that's recommended for trauma and PTSD. However, it's also shown to be really effective for things like anxiety and depression and grief and loss, chronic pain, performance enhancement, all kinds of things. Because EMDR really helps your nervous system to digest or metabolize experiences that are stuck and causing yuck. What do I mean by that? So what happens when you eat too much food? Your digestive system gets overwhelmed, right? So you feel maybe bloated or crampy, or you feel nauseous. And your digestive system wants to digest food, like that's its job, but sometimes it gets overwhelmed. There's too much happening for it to do its job in a timely and efficient manner. So the same thing happens with our nervous systems. Our nervous systems are always integrating our experiences, processing our experiences, and sometimes our nervous system gets overwhelmed. And when our nervous system gets overwhelmed and it can't do its job to integrate our experiences, things get stuck that cause yuck. And that can lead to things like flashbacks and nightmares, depression, panic attacks, obsessive thoughts, racing thoughts, feeling really hypervigilant or on edge, feeling like you're not lovable or worthy. Those are all symptoms that are indicative of something that got stuck that's causing yuck in your nervous system. I've had some people describe EMDR as like Drano for the braino. It's like an antacid for your nervous system, and that it just helps your nervous system to do what it can naturally do, which is process experiences so that you don't feel all the yuck from them being stuck. Now we use something that's called bilateral stimulation in EMDR. So originally that was eye movements. So you think about, we identify memories and stuff that's stuck that's causing yuck. And as you think about it, we can add eye movements where your eyes follow my fingers, or we can use an online program. You track like a little dot that moves back and forth on the screen. That's one form of BLS. However, there's also tapping, so you can self-tap on your shoulders or your thighs or your knees. We also have buzzers we can use, and there's also tones that can kind of beep back and forth in your ears. We found that it's not just about eye movements, it's about any form of bilateral stimulation. Now, I'm sure that BLS sounds really weird to you, and we have studied it a lot. And what we know is that bilateral stimulation seems to start a natural process or similar process to what we experience in REM sleep. Do you know what REM sleep is? Yeah, so REM sleep is a part of your sleep cycle. It's a part of your sleep cycle in which your nervous system kind of reconsolidates or reprocesses your memories, your experiences from the day. And so when you have enough cycles of REM sleep, you tend to wake up and kind of feel like, I'm not bothered by that thing anymore, or I'm not upset about that, or oh my gosh, I know what to do about this problem. Because REM sleep helps your nervous system to digest experiences. And so when you have enough cycles of REM sleep, you wake up and you kind of feel refreshed and renewed. In REM sleep, our eyes start going back and forth in our head. That's why it's called rapid eye movement. And so EMDR is believed to start a similar process. You're fully awake, you're conscious. I'm not going to hypnotize you. You're not asleep. And it helps to start a similar process that you just naturally do in REM sleep, because some things are just too much for your nervous system to just sleep off. So EMDR, again, is an evidence-based therapy. It's highly effective. I've been trained in EMDR since 2006, and I just find it to be an incredibly powerful technique and approach that really produces long-lasting change and healing. What I mean by that is that after we process some of those experiences that are stuck and causing yuck, it's not like they're going to come back in a month or a year. They really stay resolved. Now, there can be some side effects to EMDR, just like any therapy. EMDR can kind of be like a kick your butt therapy, in all honesty. It's like physical therapy for your nervous system. So we need to make sure that your nervous system is ready for it. So we're going to spend as much time as we need just helping to build some skills, learning some coping skills, some regulation skills, so that your nervous system is resilient and has the fitness that it needs to be able to tolerate and handle EMDR. EMDR can sometimes, after we reprocess those experiences, leave you just feeling kind of tired. You might feel really hungry. You might feel super energized because you feel free of the stuff that's stuck and causing yuck. It can cause some really vivid dreams. And it can also kind of leave us kind of introspective. You might feel really quiet and just want some alone time. You might kind of be in your feels. You might be thinking about other memories. You might not have any of those side effects. It's really just each person is unique and has their own experience. But we're never going to go faster than your nervous system can tolerate. You are always in control, and I will be with you the whole time. Do you have any questions? So that is my elevator speech. Those are some important things that I review. So I give a little overview of EMDR. I give a brief orientation to the 3 forms of bilateral stimulation. After my elevator speech, I'll usually actually show and demonstrate forms of bilateral stimulation to my clients. So I might have them, we'll go through self-tapping. If they're in an office, I might have them use the buzzers. I'll have them try the tones, and then we'll try our forms of eye movement so they can select which one feels right to them. When I'm explaining what EMDR can be useful for, I'm usually going to pull on my client-specific symptoms. So if I'm working with somebody who's struggling with panic disorder, I'm going to specifically talk about their symptoms when I'm explaining, stuff that gets stuck causes yuck and leads to panic attacks and racing heartbeats and racing thoughts and whatever that is that they're experiencing, so it feels really applicable to their experience. It's also important that you explain just briefly how BLS works. I do not dive into all the other hypotheses of BLS. There are 3 really commonly known and supported hypotheses of BLS, but they can just get a little too neuroscience-y and confuse and overwhelm clients if you get into all of those. And then make sure that you also explain some of the potential side effects, but don't explain them in a way that's like, it's going to be really hard and it's going to suck. I certainly always say, like, you might have some of those symptoms, you might not have any. You might feel amazing. So we want to set up EMDR in a way that allows us to exude some confidence and excitement for this therapy. We want to get informed consent by really explaining these important components of EMDR in our elevator speech, but we also don't want to get so deep in the weeds and so neuroscience-y about how it works that our clients kind of glaze over and, we lose their attention. So that's my elevator speech. It may come out in different flavors at different times, but those are some of my key points. I hope that that's been helpful and that there's something here that you might use in your own practice as well. If you want to learn more or connect or attend one of our trainings, check us out. Check me out at RebeccaCase.com. Be well, healer.